Yeah, thank you so much. Very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you so much for having me here. This is my first debutant presentation at ISACA. As already, thank you so much, guys. It's my privilege and honor to be a part of this August the audience. I think, without any offense, that many of the times we have to go into events, certain sessions, and we have to just only pass through the presentation of the slides and just assume ourselves that we are talking about technology. But many of the times what we got to know that the audience is just only chatting to each other and just passing the time and then to see on the watch and then to say that when the speaker is going to be out of the stage. Either we are there between them and the dinner or the wine sessions, but I'm glad that after a certain period of time I'm sitting in front of you all who have been educated, quite literate about the technology as well as the security. So I'm happy to be a part of this session and will continue to come. And if you guys will like my session, my presentation, and will definitely share my experience whatsoever I do have it in last so many years. So first of all, in the introduction in the morning, it has been told that the topic seems to be like as a quite Netflix kind of a series. So I thought at that point in time, I just presumed that the format of the presentation should look like the similar one. So I asked my AI that to prepare certain presentation slides in such a format, it should look like as a bright, have some colors, and have some like as a dynamic features also. So if you see that I'm just throwing something, it looked like as a Netflix series, right? Right? So let's start with there. So my name is Gaurav Ranade. Might be few of you would be aware of my name or might be have heard about me over the LinkedIn. I'm there in the industry for last 28 years, having 4 different phases of my life. Have done, been quite fortunate to work in a very prestigious projects in past 28 years. In the first phase of life itself, like as a project DIRA, you might have heard of Indian Army, Air Force and Navy. The first forensic laboratory and cyber lab was designed by me, right? Been in a position to train multiple army officials on a cybersecurity way back in 2004. Even Dr. Kanan from NCRB was my student on Honeypot in 2004. So AC, Army Cybersecurity Establishment, the DDGIT, Pune Military Engineering College, MS Branch, DDGIT, Automation, MISO, all these officials have been trained. And including within this particular closed room session, I can just share that I also have worked with the Cabinet Secretariat. You know about the name behind that. So then afterward, recently, if I'll say so, like as a first presentation which has been provided, I've been there in the Middle East for almost 12 years. I had my own 4 ventures, worked very closely with a few of the Ministry of Interiors in Saudi, Qatar, Kuwait, UAE, Jordan, as well as in Egypt. So multiple projects I have done and very, very key projects have been implemented there. So was a continent head for one of a Spanish company on voice biometrics. So I've worked very closely with a few of our forensic science laboratories in India, as well as the 72 countries under my tenure or my leadership, including could be I was the one of a person have entered into the Chinese intelligence agency because I was representing Spanish company by that time. In 2018, I had a third phase of my life where the independent consulting profile came across. Done some telecom projects like Vodafone Ideas and IP migration from Cisco 9X series to MX series of Maharashtra, Goa, Haryana circle. And then entire PowerTel DC-DR 57 MPLS site, entire DC design for the data center as well as the disaster recovery, that's mine. I have implemented along with the Sterlite Technologies. Telangana Fiber, Tenfinet, Mahanet, and Indian Navy NFS, that HLDs and other LLDs have been designed. So the fortunate project at that point in time I did for a Delhi safe city. Corrigendum and architecture was out. I think credentials are getting more, but taking like as a 5 minutes of that. So the 4th phase was of a CTO position in a cybersecurity VAD, where fortunately I was working with Vijay Devnath sir. The initial inputs of ISACA with his team also had done. Then Indian Navy SOC, Army CERT SOC, and few of our other cert SOC projects have been designed. And recently I have disclosed few of them. So right now I'm an independent consultant. Certifications are already been done in last 28 years, have worked all across except Antarctica. I've been there in almost every single country. So let's start with the next one. That's a 2026 reality shift on it. I think credentials are enough that to speak on this particular presentation. Thank you. Okay. We know that 2026, what I'm going to talk about this particular presentation is not about that you know about all these particular presentations. You have gone through with all these the scenarios, whether this cyber warfare is a realistic approach or what we have it in our hands and our enterprises are ready for to calibrate all those particular attacks or not. That's what we wanted to understand on that part. But we are living into two different worlds altogether. We are talking about Gen AI, SecOps, and the new advent, the Gen AI technologies on that. But the other part of the story is that if you look at that the certain parts of the public and the government and certain enterprise sectors, they hardly have their basic infrastructures. Now, how to come up at certain level that to look at that scenario where most of the attacks or the rest of the world is taking a shape into a totally different world altogether. Now, in 2026, where we are, even it's my personal experiences, I've seen that the big data centers have been designed, have implemented, scope has been verified, worked out onto certain structures as well, and but the basic DNS was not configured properly. Few of the breaches, what we have seen so far, that the premises, that the firewall configurations have not been done appropriately. And then afterward we say that we have all the technologies, we have all the AI, the technologies, development of a SecOps which has been defined there, but why there's a breach after every 11 seconds in our industry? So we never thought on that particular aspect. We looked into the certain technical jargons. We fixed ourselves into a technical jargons. That what is a predictive analytics, what is a predictive AI, generative AI, what is SecOps, what is the AI is going to work on that part. But have we worked on those particular components that to make it as a secure by design? How many of us have the security architectures apart from the data center architectures within our own premises itself? And nowadays, that do we have after data center architecture, security architecture and AI architecture within that particular your profile itself, being as a CISO, CTO, CIOs, how many of you already have your desk for that? You need to understand all these paradigms because we all are responsible that whatsoever the breach is happening. Even tomorrow, if something is happening in any of these particular projects, I offer my services to all of these particular customers, they're free of cost, that whenever you need any services for the deployment to understand those particular scenarios, I am ready to give that particular support because we know that within due course of that particular duration, that any of a misconfiguration or any new tool has been deployed, you never know that the architecture has been bypassed with a few of other scenarios. So be careful. You all are warriors. You are a part of that cyber warfare. You need to understand that, like if we are not only the victim when my money is going to be out of the bank itself. We need to look at that we are responsible for each and every single activity, whatever we are doing it over our mobile phones. So the shift is totally different now. The 2026 reality shift is that nowadays the phishing is not only the limited phishing, it is an automated phishing scenario. So you never know that which way that mail is coming to you. And believe me, even now, even in ISACA, you can do it with your members itself. We all are security professionals. If a one single mail will come out from the chairman, everybody will go into that. So like tomorrow that the chairman is offering any of a plan for the Bangkok trip for all the ISACA members who have joined today, that everybody is going to put their PI data over here. We know that. It's happening. It's a mindset for us. Now, whether we fell into that trap or not, whether it is automated, tomorrow, if like as this data sheet is coming to me with the name and the mobile number with that, I do have a dark web access and can get all these particular details of yours. Right? Your mobile number is available on the dark web. Mobile number is connected with your Aadhaar card. Aadhaar card is connected with your ITR. ITR is connected with your bank account number. Bank account number is connected with your financial information. I can access it. I can get that. With the OTPs, there are so many podcasts are available that most of the security officials are sharing with that. how without even sharing that OTP, your information can be accessed out of it. So be careful. We are the warriors. We have to look ourselves without any uniform. We are living into that particular warrior role every single day. AI, yeah, sure.
This space is evolving so high.
Yeah.
And I think many of us would have heard about this micro-purview model that has come out.
Yeah.
And sort of expect out vulnerabilities from a professional much earlier than probably right now.
That's true.
At the same time, it is also important that the sort of commercialization that is being done,
Yeah.
where the big ones are already in, getting into a project and try to decipher that model to see that okay, how those vulnerabilities can be identified before. I think it is important to understand or know what about those mid-sized firms, what about those firms which cannot afford that money to use that tool or to that project last week that we are talking about or we are reading about, where all the big shots are being part of that project and they are trying to see that okay, how their systems are being safeguarded against those vulnerabilities.
We are very small fish in the entire ocean. We are very small fish. We are running behind the race, what is happening in AI cycle right now. We can be in a very, very glooming world altogether, and then to say we are the number one superpower in our IT, in our AI scenarios, but you look at the quantum, just only the deployment of the quantum. We are struggling even to evangelize the people how to use and what is the technology of a quantum. The segregation of a quantum computing and quantum networking, China and US are making an attacks on quantum. So where we are standing right now, we are very small fish. We are thinking on way beyond those particular components and the parts what we are talking about. That's what I said that. So just think about that the cyber warfare is not limited to your wallet. You never know which way it is going to come. Digital arrest, which came when it came, everybody was there. Everywhere this particular information was passing on. Even majorly the IT professionals, even my colleagues, have been a part of that trap itself. So it's not about that the lack of knowledge is not there, awareness is not there, but you never know that which way this particular attack is going to come in your daily life. How you have to survive in that way, that you have to keep alert. That's why I said that you have to be a cyber warrior.
And which sector do you see is the most exposed?
Now it's a very difficult to say that only the BFSI, it's limited to say that the government and the public sector units, the enterprise, the healthcare, hospitality, tourism, education, wherever you talk about, we have attack. That's what I said, that after every 11 seconds there is an attack. So when there is an attack, it means that all these particular segregation of the roles have to be involved with it. So we can't claim that we are secure. Yeah, earlier we used to say that the cybersecurity doesn't mean that you are secure 100%. Now we say that our lives are not secure 100%. We never know which way it's going to come tomorrow. Okay, let's get back to the presentation. I think we have a limited time as well, but we can continue. After that, you can connect me over the, yeah, that's okay, perfectly fine. Thank you so much. So full attack life cycle is also a part of that reality shift. So automatically, the AI based, any of an attack which has a full life cycle, attacks will be generated by AI itself, but how exactly that need to be taken care of, that is where the reality is there. Why India? We have to look at that why India is a digital frontier and why everybody is looking at India. The first and foremost thing is that the most of the universe companies, the universal, either US, UK, the Chinese or the Japanese or the Taiwanese, the Koreans, the Australian companies are coming to India because we have a scale. We have a volume. Everybody want to scale their particular product at the peak utility and then to understand what is the peak usability of our tool to be testified as well as to do the POC in Indian circumstances and then to sell it to the rest of the world itself. That's where the most of that our usability has been done. More than 100 crore plus internet connections we have it. More than 27 lakh crore monthly UPI transactions we have it. The strategic shift is totally coming different out of that way. So we have a power, but we are not utilizing our power for ourselves. We are just shifting that particular things back in the others' hands. Now need to understand what is the state of the cyber threats we have in India. Near about to 29.44 lakhs incidents handled by certain only why. That is why you might have heard of that now the government of India has decided that every single department, the states must have their own certs. Uttarakhand is one of them. Madhya Pradesh is another one. Maharashtra already have it. I think Andhra and Telangana is going to have it another one. In defense, the Army cert already have done it. Navy cert already have done it. Air Force already have deployed that. So the cert also is scaling their own cert scenarios. So that's why that the scope is quite huge. So even if you are a vendor, you are a partner, you are an OEM, you are an ecosystem part of that, you are providing those services, there is a big scope for the settling of those particular cert scenarios. So the coming up, that the India is becoming like as the major hub for the cert infrastructure. That's a computer emergency and response team. And believe me, that the kind of technology like this, Yogendra has mentioned that there is a one particular tool which we normally call it as the hyper automated SOC infrastructure, which is related with the taking a platform over the SIM itself and then taken into all the logs, the reporting and the forensics as well. So there are many more mechanisms and the tools are there in the scenario which you might not have heard of. We are already deploying it within that particular cert itself. So either you talk about the defense forces or the state cert scenarios, we are already working on that part. So national security alerts, let me be very honest with you, there are few of breaches which are reported. There are few breaches which has not been reported. There are few breaches which are there in the public domain where there are few breaches which you will never be able to understand that. So that is why if the numbers are there, don't think that this is only the number could be way beyond. We are not aware of that what kind of an attacks had happened last day, yesterday, just last month, last hour, 1 hour while we are speaking, there must be an attack. G20 has happened. You never know that how much of a DDoS, that the volumetric attack has happened, and almost every single OEM, like as a Radware, F5, all the DDoS, Cloudflare and the other companies, they were sitting into the departments over there. The entire CERT teams were deploying over there just to mitigate those particular DDoS attacks. So India is at the receiving end. India is not looking at that perspective where we can afford to blink an eye and then to say that everything is fine. हम वो कबूतर नहीं हैं जिसने आंखें बंद कर ली और सोचा कि बिल्ली चली गई. We are totally different from the rest of the world. Now, coming on to the sectoral impact. Now, the gentlemen just have moved on. So we know that, power, utilities and energy, that sector is more like as a prominent one for us. But I think that the now focus is more on that part. So if you look at the PSDF, that the fund has been allocated, almost about to 65 utilities are going to have their own cert SOCs. So the implementation has already been ready. RFP already have prepared in 2024. That was also part of my work. So we did that already. Power utilities are building up their own infrastructure as well. ONGC, IOCL, NTPC, NHPC, PGCIL, PowerTel. They are building it up that like as a world-class architecture for their infrastructure. Even this PowerTel Cloud RFP, that they wanted to beat the Amazon, your Amazon Cloud, the Google Cloud GCP as well as onto your Azure. So they are into the competition of that. Yes, government is building it up. Government is funding on those particular projects. But are we capable enough there to take care of?
Added to that, even the Ministry of Power now decided to have the Make in India product to the complete power sector. So by 2029, they wanted to have 100% Make in India products. So they are not relying with the American products. That is the guideline from the top to the bottom.
I have a different opinion on that part. Right, so we'll speak in length on this part. Why India is in a crosshairs? We have a rapid digital acceleration, we know about that, right? What is the necessity for it? Because we have the highest growth, either in telecom numbers, in internet connections, with the security perspective. High value national assets, we like as everybody wants to look at our assets, which has been hidden in that part. And we are generating the massive data on a daily basis. That's why every organization, like as LLMs, they wanted to capture our data and then to take it. I'll just go back in 2009. There was one voice biometrics company. I'll say that totally there were 3 different companies all across the world. One was a Russian speech technology center. The other one was a Liquendo in Italy, Italian company. And the third one was Ignitio. Ignitio was a Spanish company. So now they all were trying to come in India and then to capture all the voice samples. And like whatsoever the NTRO, National Technical Research Organization, you might have heard of, that whatsoever the communication you are having over the mobile phone, over the Skype, over the Gmail, over any of a chat, that the NTR is a one agency which captures all that and then to do the analysis and then to do the surveillance and the other parts of that. Surveillance is a one very, very debatable topic, but they do that analysis, whatsoever the calls are coming in and out of in India, and then to look at that, there is a keyword spotting system also, that if you talk, or like as a supari, bomb, threat, kill, and then like as a Daud bhai, Chota bhai, Shakil bhai, so all these particular things will be captured in that particular keyword spotting system. That's already been deployed way back in 2008 and 9. So now these companies were coming to India and then to capture all the voice samples. Why? Because we have so many languages, so many dialects, so many kind of a mode of that the speeches were there. So they just wanted to capture and then to put it into their databases. And then on the basis of that, the physics algorithms were made into that particular role, that the vocal code, which need to take it into the 7 seconds of your voice samples, and then to analysis on that particular part, and then to match it 97 to 98% of an accuracy of a voice sample of a speaker recognition. Earlier it was like as a speech recognition, which Microsoft and other companies have provided, but now it's a speaker recognition. So since 2009 onwards, Tata and other companies in India itself, they have built up their particular product, but you never heard that particular product is already there in the market, and you might not be looking at that the BFSI sector, that the IVRs, whenever you're talking to them and then looking at my mobile number, my bank number, my mother's name, maiden number, every single thing is matching with that particular voice biometric solution with a speaker recognition mode for that. So by that time, the companies were coming in India, collecting our databases, going back, doing that research, and they're here. Now, what about the AI? The similar way, that the situation is the same. Now, Ignito has been taken by the Nuance. Nuance has been taken over by Microsoft. Microsoft is already in India. They already have an access to our database. So you can think of those particular aspects, which way the entire global political strategies are taking care of our mechanisms and then taking our data in that. So now the new threat paradigms, that's a structural break, what we have it, whatsoever the threat events which are coming up, the first AI generated 0 day. 0 day itself like as a biggest threat, which we can't look at beyond that perspective, that जिसका पता ही नहीं है उसको block कैसे करना है. We don't know about that. But if somebody already have been generated as an AI by the AI itself, how you are going to block it for that? That's major concern what we have to look at from that perspective. The Trend CP syndicate, which is a team B on that part. So normally that whatsoever the kind of an activities which need to look at the cloud the credentials, that's also to be a part of it. Criminal LLMs. Now, I'm also doing my PhD in a research and a quantum with the LLM security and AI perspective. So I understand that what way that LLMs can be breached and how that research to be happening, that to secure your LLMs as well. Now the threat is that even if India is going to create our own LLM, that the threat actors are sitting there and then to look at what is the nature of their LLM, let me breach it and then to accept that particular data. Now they are into that mode. We are just thinking, we are debating, let's have a LLM of our own. Now our enemies are looking at, let them prepare that LLM. We will see that what kind of an LLM is there, we will breach it and then we'll attack that. Now the research is going on from an Indian perspective, and fortunate, I'm a part of that particular research team where we are looking at how to restrict that any of a breach in the LLM by the quantum or an AI attacks. So that's one of the new structures. Anatomy is the traditional kill chain is there. You can synthesize what we do it like as a manual OSINT. Most of you are aware of. I don't know that how many of you have done the Google Gemini, right? By later in the evening today yourself, you go back to your home and do it for any of your relative. Just give his mobile number or his email ID over the Google Gemini and just see that what information it gives gives you back. About yourself, about the relationship between you and your that relative, any of a person, could be a boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whatsoever the information, he has it already over the Gmail, and the Google Gemini will open it directly to you. That's a OSINT, that's a open source intelligence. That just really like is a very simple tool which you can do it by yourself as a practical for yourself there, to see that what kind of an attack on a privacy we talk about it. I'll give you another example for that. One of a day I have been invited for a Pune session, And then there were multiple series like as today's session was there. So one was talking about the DPDP, the data privacy. My topic was a zero trust. And when I entered into a gate, my vehicle had been restricted. The security guard asked me about my name, my mobile number, my email ID, and then said, okay, thank you so much, go ahead. I entered into the building, there was a reception, another security guard had the same list with my name, my mobile number, my email ID, and then said, thank you so much, go to the floor. I went on to the floor, and then there another reception on that particular office itself. There the same list was there, my name, my email, and my mobile number, and then let me inside it. And my topic was zero trust network. How many times I have to trust onto anyone? Now this is a reality, and the person who was just before me as a speaker, he was giving her a data privacy statement. Now let me know, my name is there, my email ID is there, my mobile number is there, in 3 hands, and those security guards might be like as a 10th pass or matriculation or 10 plus 2, they might have given that particular list to any of an hacker, like as me. I'll go and then take like as a 120 list, out of that rupees of 50 or 100 bucks. Or we'll give a, like as a lunch to him, that particular person, and then we'll take that entire list and we'll go into the dark web and we'll say that, okay, now give me randomly, now next 120 days I'll not do anything, let me just check it out one or the other particular person, we'll see that what are the bank accounts are there, what is the money all set on that part, and one of the very luckiest day, like as out of a 10, I'll be in a position to crack 2 or 3, money is there in my bank account. That is what we are talking about. That's what where we are looking at the lacking in all the technology terms of the trends and then the jargons on that part. Let's begin it from ourselves. Like nowadays, even in our society, the gym, there's a column of a mobile number. We always say not applicable because they already have a database of our number. It's just like as a flat. The tower and then flat number. That's only what we have to give it. But many of the times the people are there who just have to give that like as a mobile number. I don't know whether they have to show off themselves and then to say that they have a good body and then to show off to the rest of the people that they can contact and then will ask for the personal training fees as well. Nevertheless. So in a weaponization, that which way that the delivery and exploitation, that's the traditional kill chain programs. But when you look at the AI native evaluations on evolution on that particular part, it's an autonomous reckon, the polymorphic code, agentic phishing, adaptive exploitation as well. So if you look at that everything comes into a different game altogether. It's no more there within your hands, restricted within your limits itself. You never know that the person who's sitting next to me will take all my credentials, will go over that any of a platform and will mark an attack to me, any of my platform, my LinkedIn, my social media, as well as to do certain reconciles on my portfolio and can get access of my password itself. You never know, my password could be of my date of birth, my marriage anniversary or my wife's name, that could be any of them. But it's more like as much as the social gatherings we have it, we are prone towards all these particular attacks on our personal identities. Deepfakes. Now, I don't know how many of you have concern about that, but I think in coming years, deepfakes is going to be a bigger one. In last couple of the quarters or almost like the 6 months, we talk about that these particular attacks or these kind of impersonation has been taken in the right. Government has taken few steps, but still I'll say that like the few of the use cases we'll discuss as well. But this is going to be a big concern. So nowadays, that even on the MS Teams, that the deepfakes are coming on the face of their superiors, their leaders, their CEOs are coming and attending their calls as well. So beware on that part. Be careful on that particular aspect on that. Identity is a one thing which is a quite broad aspect. Identity deception is a one part, but identity itself is a very big chapter, very big concept, very big companies are also working on it. But I think in India, we are not very serious about identity. We are thinking, being as a very security concepts, security professionals as well, identity, if somebody will like to come to you and then say that, there is an identity crisis, identity need to be addressed on that part. We'll say, we have an LDAP, we have an Active Directory, मेरे पास एक यूजर है, मैंने मल्टीपल ग्रुप्स बना लिए, सेग्रीगेट कर लिया. What is the use of an identity for that part? But what is the identity governance in that perspective? What is the identity governance? Threat detection is there. So now what kind of a mode is there? You have developed a UBA, the user entity behavior analysis. Now user, you have that, they're taken that particular tool itself, but you never know that how that particular tool has been taken by the identity itself. I'll not name the organization, specifically in the defense per se. There were more than, that project was like as a big 1,000 crores of a project that multiple data centers they have deployed it. They called me after 6 or 7 years and then to ask me that, Gaurav, we need an help on an Active Directory. When I looked into that particular Active Directory itself, what I've seen that every single user was a part of a multiple use. Now, whatever the group policies you will deploy into one or the other user, what is going to be happening? That going to be replicated onto all these particular organization units. Now you never know that how you have segregated, how you have deployed it, but now they have to go back to the entire RFP has to be floated that to rectify that particular problem in the Active Directory itself. Till that time, the problem will still remain there. That's a basic issues which we have to look at. Then deepfakes and identity deceptions. Deception. Now, is there? Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So deepfakes and identity deception. So anybody would like to make it on a beyond phishing, the identity frontier, and the multi-factor authentication, which is failing. I think day by day, it's cybersecurity, the different technologies, the concept, what we are talking, it's an evolving nature. Nobody talks about the way this particular technology has been taken into a one way of an exceptional scenario, like the zero trust, it's one of them. I think one of the slides will be there. It's another evolution which is coming up on that part. It's not like as one of the other scenario which is taken, that the ZTNA has been taken out of that part because of the few of the products deployments. Now, the use cases, what I was just talking about, the deepfake, that's 10 minutes. Okay, I have to rush them. Okay, so deepfake CEO fraud, you can Google it and then find out that there was already a deepfake video of a CEO was going on, and the voice cloning is another particular part. As I told you that the voice biometric solutions, the voice cloning, the deepfake videos, which is just making like another kind of a threat vector for all of us, and we have to be very careful on that part. Agentic phishing, that's autonomous, the phishing modes will come that nobody has to give any kind of inputs to any of the platform, it will generate it. And autonomous reckon, you'll never know that which way that the platforms are becoming decision making by themselves and then to generate an attack on any part. This is quite important one for my perspective. I always love to discuss more on that part, but due to the shortage of time slot, any of other time we will discuss on that scenario. The multiple use cases are there in a critical infrastructure, the SOC modernization. Let me be very honest with you. Critical infrastructure is a very interesting portion. I don't think that anything else can make you much more in वो सलमान खान की मूवी में भी है ना कि किक नहीं मिलता है. Similar way, the way you work with the critical infrastructures, it gives a totally different ball game altogether. So you provide yourself like as a one of like a soldier and giving services to the nation itself, and best of the practices, best of the scenarios, the different tools and the different mindset. It's a totally different altogether. So when you look at the modernization perspective, government is quite spending on that particular part. It's not limited to a one single budget. I've seen that. One of my posts was there on the LinkedIn itself in Operation Sindoor. One of a department have called me and then to do the emergency procurement for the SOC modernization, that I already have done that, right? So this way that you contribute on that particular part, but yes, that lots of things you will learn while you are looking at the critical infrastructures. The case studies are quite interesting one, what they are doing it, how they are doing it, and the way they tend to do that. And one of a project what I'm just right now doing it, that's a cyber range. That's a cyber range for the entire one of the department, and specifically very simple components. Why it's been okay? No, sorry. The simple case of IT, IoT, OTs as well as the UAVs are a part of that. That's quite interesting one, and we'll discuss in any of the next session whenever ISACA will invite me for this. Now, the Zero Trust Data Center, you need to understand Zero Trust is not based on the tools, it's about the frameworks. The best practices, the best architecture, you need to deploy it. The Zero Trust Network Access ZTNA 1.0 was a failed. ZTNA 2.0 is into the practice, and most of the CISOs in India, they have cleared it that the ZTNA 1.0, which has been provided by the identity only, is not at all working anymore, and they are not at all in a favor of that as well. We can discuss on that particular part. Government and PSU transformation initiatives are already there. I just mentioned few numbers are there. It's just only for my knowledge, which I'm just sharing it with you, but it is already there. AI bomb guidelines are already been placed. Let me just tell you that the SOAR has been almost like obsolete by the Gartner in 2024. You need to be very, very careful while you are just procuring or deploying SOAR in your ecosystem nowadays, because that is not going to be having any of a framework later after that. So whatsoever the AI bombs are there, S bombs are there, the guidelines have been provided by MIT, certain RBI or other particular parameters that you need to be careful and then to look at in that aspect. AI maturity assessment for Indian enterprises. Just think that the last, the right side, the most Indian enterprises at level of 1.5. That's a concern. That's a really concern. Whosoever will say that we are like on the race of a championship of an AI, that we have to do a lot of work to reach out to that particular maturity scenario. Board level AI governance frameworks. I think most of the technology terms or the technical jargons we can talk about it, but let me be very honest with you that we just have started work. We have to crawl it, we have to run that on that particular part, and it's just only the initial phase of an AI for us, and we never know that which way it is going to come. In next 5 to 7 years are going to be quite crucial. I was there at one of the conference itself, and where that the 6G is going to come by 2030, and what I got to know that the 6G itself is going to have an autonomous AI-based anomaly detection within that particular infrastructure itself. So if that is going to have it, 80% of the OEMs in Indian market as well as globally, that is going to be totally obsolete, because every single thing is on an anomaly detection basis. So once that 6G is going to come, as per the technology, what the scientist has declared that, so it means that the technology shape is going to be totally different in any way. Anatomy of modern risk. I'll share this particular deck to all of to Kulbhushan and the governance committee, so they can share it with all of you. So right, so you can just go through with that. I just wanted to explain more and more on that particular part. It's more like that we are bound to speak more and then to concept on that part. But there are few of us supply chain blind spots are there, which we should be very concerned about it, as our majority of export is going on to our supply chain scenarios, and majorly attacks are coming on that part. And one of concern was of a different verticals, but I believe that every single organization have to concern about their supply chain, which is going to be under attacks. Defense pivot from cybersecurity to cyber resilience, that you need to look at that very carefully on that part, which way that you have to firstly mitigate and then detect, and then only you can mitigate that. Many of the tools, let me be very honest, with the telcos itself, you can bound on, because we are all professionals, we are working on few of the clientele as well as other aspects as well. Be careful, if the tool is not in a position to detect something, you will not be in a position to mitigate that. But it is happening in enterprises in our India. I've seen that few of the tools have been totally overruled because of that one of the other reason. I'll not name those particular reasons, but yes, those particular tools have been taken over, which are not good in the detection of the anomalies. Right, so that's going to be a very serious concern, and that is why after every 11 seconds we have a breach. It could that number will be very soon reduced to 5 or 6. That is what my concern is. The roadmap, which is very much important, mandatory AI governance, you all have to have it. Behavioral analytics for every single aspect, whichever way it has to be taken off. Resilient first design, that be very, very confident on that part, that your architecture must be very clear, and be sure from today itself that the data center architecture, your security architecture, and then your AI architecture. Once you have that particular thing within your hands, being as a CISO, CIO, CTO, nothing is going to beat your any infrastructure. Are we prepared? The call to action. I think we think our assumptions that we are the best. Invest in collaboration. We all are here to collaborate. Work with any of an experience altogether. Act now. Just look at that which way you have to do it. The question is not about that, but the future outlook from 2026 to 2030 is the quantum readiness, predictive defense, and sovereign AI vision. In that particular belief that we can talk about the new concept, new technologies, new trends on that part, but the future lying about quantum readiness and predictive defense. Any of in conclusion for the call to action for that? Audit AI maturity with that DSCI framework if you are following it already. Modernize your AI-driven SOC and ZTDC and establish the board-level AI governance directly. I'm ready for any of an question and answers. But thank you so much for bearing me my presentation and hope you liked it. Thank you.
Okay, a couple of questions, guys. You don't have to rush. We can sit a little bit more and get hungrier and eat lunch well.
That's okay. Thank you.
Take a couple of questions.
Sure.
Please.
Go ahead.
No questions. He's really put the fear of God in us, hasn't he? He says, deep fake guys, are you the person you claim to be? Can we pinch him and see if he's the person? I was reminded of this thing, you want to say I spent all his time watching movies. This James Bond, Pierce Brosnan goes to Moscow. Then he meets a person, he says something, there's a code word, and the person says a code word, and wait till they know that he's the right person. And then this person is supposed to show him a small tattoo on his bum. Right? So that is, you see, how many of you are old enough to remember when men wore bell bottoms? Amitabh Bachchan ki picture dekhi, 27 bell bottoms. All these old things are just being recycled, yeah. Isn't it? We're going to go back now, in family groups. In my own family, large extended family group, I'm recommending deep fixes going to start, they're going to happening, they have happened. So within your own families have some code words. Right? And change those code words. So in case somebody is asking you for money, suddenly your parent is, you think your parent is calling you and saying, I'm dying, I'm in hospital, what is your code word? Right? Code word ही पूछ लो यार. Code word यार रखेगा या बताएगा. Okay? That is one, right? And the other thing is, anyone seen Die Hard? Die Hard 4?
Yeah.
The whole fire sale, right? I was reminded when Gaurav was speaking about the critical infrastructure. That also is going to be a big problem, especially with the kind of geography we live in, right? And we are surrounded by people. Now we have one neighbor to the east also who is ready to screw our happiness. Yes? So there's going to be a big problem, and all of us have to, even in enterprises, we may not be working at a national level, right? But even in our own enterprises, we're going to have to be careful about how to, because protection will happen, at the lowest level, then it can go, it can spread all over the country. So all of us, even not working at national levels, I think we have a role to play in learning from all these people. Another round of applause for all our presenters. I need a mic. I need a mic.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today, and thank you so much to all of our speakers for such wonderful sessions.